Hello, many thanks for joining us. This is Women's Voice. We are live here on GBC News and on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Selikem Akolache Apalu. Today on the program, we're going to be listening to a story of inspiration. You know that from time to time we have women of inspiration coming through to share their story with us, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. My guest on the show today is a well-sought-after financial advisor and financial planner in the U.S. Though she is Ghanaian, she lives and works in America and also has extensive experience in advertising, public relations, marketing, and publishing. She is the curator of one of the biggest women's annual conferences in Ghana, the Global Women X, and is the president of the U.S. Ghana Chamber of Commerce. She'll be sharing her story as we celebrate her for being a woman of inspiration. My guest is Assistant Vice President and Senior Financial Advisor with Merrill Lynch Wealth Management, Philadelphia in the USA, Florence-Torson Hart. You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you in our studios.
The pleasure is all mine, Selikem.
Let's start from the beginning. I read somewhere you grew up with 18 brothers and sisters.
Ooh. So somebody already gave you the 411.
Tell me about, growing up, what it was like.
I think I will not exchange that experience for anything. It was good because you cannot grow up in such a big family and be selfish.
And that was really big.
Yeah. Because everything you have, we all lived in one house too.
Okay.
So we had to learn to share a lot of things. You learn how to share space. You have to be able to fight to have your voice heard with 18 brothers. So it was fun. But as a result of that, we are super close.
Okay.
My family, in the sense that we have different mothers, but we see us, there are no half siblings in my family. We are brothers and sisters. And so it was cool. And we also went to different schools in Accra. Okay. So my house was where you wanted to hang out during the long back, because we had brothers who went to Presec Accra Academy, Wesley Grammar. So everybody hung out there. So I didn't even have to go out to make a lot of friends. Everybody used to come to the house.
So at that point, what were your aspirations?
Well, if my father had his way, get a good education so that you can have an independent life, so that you are not beholden to anybody. I just wanted at that time to be the best daughter that I could be, and also the best student, because that was what my parents required of me. And so I tried to do that to the extent that I can.
Did you always want to be in the financial sector like you are now?
No.
So what did you want to be at that point?
So I was very good with English, languages, communication, and my father thought it would be a good idea to be doing what you're doing,
a journalist.
To become a journalist. Yeah. But when I was in high school, I was pretty good, smart at a lot of things, but I got kicked out of math class when I was in Form 3.
Wow.
Well,
what happened?
Well, talking. And so I got kicked out of math class when I was in Form 3, and I was like, okay, who needs math? I will go the arts route and avoid math at every cost. But as I went through college, after a while, I was like, why would I let one person define my path? Because there was this one teacher who had kicked me out and had made me sort of averse to anything related to mathematics or numbers. Okay. And so when I had the chance to do my master's, I'm like, I need to get that thing back. And so I'm going to do finance because that was the only thing that I knew to do that had, like the numbers component to it. Yeah, so yeah.
Let's talk about,
I enjoy it.
You enjoy it now. Let's talk about school.
Yes.
And then, primary, GHS, SSS, and then come to world of work.
Sure.
What was school like? Were you boisterous? Were you active? I'm trying to imagine how you were in school back then.
So I went to Association International, which was a very good school at the time. I was very studious, so I did well. But I used to be involved in everything. I used to do sports. I used to do the Adowa dancing, the cultural, dancing. And then, so I was In association, I mean, I was pretty calm. I think you should ask my colleagues, you know, but I think I was pretty calm, very mellow. Did not get into a lot of trouble when I was in. Now, when I went to Laboni Secondary School, it was different because you're experiencing some level of freedom for the first time. And so it was a learning curve. You enjoy the freedom and sometimes you forget you're there to study. But thank God I was able to come back to what my original goal was and did well enough. And then I went to Accra Academy, which is a boys' school for my sixth form. And that was interesting.
Yeah.
Because we had maybe 6 girls in the whole school. All boys.
Wow.
Yeah. So
and that didn't make you feel different?
Well, you talked about my big family, right? I had 4 brothers in the school.
Okay.
So I felt pretty safe. But I think that my experience in Accra Academy was very interesting.
Okay.
Because now that I think about it with the benefit of hindsight, this is the boys' territory. And then you have these girls who have come. And you know, when you throw girls in the mix, there is a particular etiquette and behavior that is expected that maybe the boys did not particularly want. And so just unnecessary attention, I think.
Okay.
But because I had 4 brothers and I had come from Laboni Secondary School, which was a mixed school, I was not that intimidated as somebody who had come from maybe St. Mary's or a girls' school. And so I guess the boys did not like the fact that I would not fit in within what they thought I should behave like. So that was interesting.
Wow. So were you always sticking together, the girls?
Yeah, for the most part we did, but we also interacted with some of the boys. I had very good friends in Accra Academy. Very interesting episodes sometimes.
You want to share one? You want to share one?
Oh no. Well, so I guess, as I said, I was not very intimidated being in a boys' school, and maybe some of the boys did not like that. Okay. And so they went out of their way to try to make my life a little more difficult. But I think the more they tried, the more resilient I got. Wow. And that did not sit well with some of them. But a lot of the boys were great. It's just a few boys who did not see why this little girl from somewhere could come and not, toe the line. So
okay, so let's get into university education and then the world of work. How did that come in?
So when I mean, we had to do national service after I went to Tech. Okay. That is why I did my first degree. My first degree was in publishing because that was the closest to mass communication that I could get. It was either that or go to GIJ. And my father wanted me to have a degree. So I went to Tech and I did, at that time, it's called publishing now. But at that time it was called book industry. And my specialization was in marketing and editing. And so I did that, worked in Ghana. I worked at the Dubois Center for almost 10 years doing the public relations there. And then I got married and had to move to the United States. So now, but whilst I was doing my work at the Dubois Center, I also had this idea. A long time ago, I know now Ghana television is fabulous, but there was a time when it was not so fabulous. And so I remember I had come home from vacation. I had gone to Europe from vacation and I came and I thought, I think we should have more exciting programming. Not that the programming was not good, but for a young person, I did not see a lot of programs that spoke to me. And so when I worked at the Dubois Center, I don't know if Emma Pentin, is she still around? She used to be a reporter at GBC. So we went to Laboni together and she came to the Dubois Center for an event. And I started thinking, I was like, can't we have something different? So Emma comes to the Du Bois Center together with the then director of TV at GBC. His name was McDodu, Professor McDodu. And Emma, I told her, I said, I have this idea for a TV program, even though I did not have any experience with production. So she just pushed me right into McDodu, and I had to commit to that.
Okay.
Long story short, we started producing a program on fashion and lifestyle called In Style.
Wow.
And KKD used to host it. So it was a 30-minute magazine program on fashion and lifestyle, which was very well received. And so as I started doing that, people started approaching me and asking me to do maybe little commercials. And so that is how I got into the advertising portion of it.
And you were very successful at it.
Yeah.
So, but how is it that at a point you put this aside and then the financial bit came in?
You know, so when I moved to the United States,
right.
I mean, that thing called marriage, you know, you have to make so much sacrifices for marriage. And so I had to leave all of that.
Okay.
My life in Ghana was great. I loved living in Ghana. But you have to make some of these changes when you get married. And so, yeah, I had to, when I moved to the United States, I thought I wanted to do something. So I had 2 children. And I wanted to do something that would give me some control over my time, because production wasn't very easy, you know. And so I decided that, well, I could do something finance related, because I wanted to take my math thing back from my old teacher.
Right.
And also to do something that I could work from home if I needed to.
Okay.
And so when I did my master's, I did a dual master's in financial management.
How did that work?
Yeah, it was challenging. I mean, with 2 children.
I saw that in your profile, I said, what?
No, but the thing though is, I think that if you are really determined to do something, and all that it requires is commitment and hard work, and it is something within your control, I think it's worth pursuing.
And you pushed?
Very hard. Very hard. It was not easy, but yeah.
How did you, what were some of the core principles that got you through managing home, children, and then schooling all at the same time, and the marriage?
Yeah, I mean, so clearly I could not have done this if I did not have a supportive husband. And I also scheduled my time in a way so that I could take care of the things that I needed to take care of in the morning. So I used to go to school maybe in the evenings to do that. So I'll leave the house maybe around 4 or 5 and come back around 10 o'clock. That is so trying to just make sure I had a proper balance to what I was trying to do, because I needed to be there for my children who were young too.
Right. So getting into financial management, wealth management at Merrill Lynch, what was that like?
It was good. I mean, I've always been sort of like an analytical person. My friends would tell you that if things don't add up, I'll be the first person to say, okay, something is missing here. I've always been analytical, but being a financial advisor allows me to use my analytical skills and my people skills.
Right.
Because what I basically have to do is to convince people to give me their money. And you cannot do that if you are not a personable person. And my analytical skills allow me to, okay, sit down and come up with a plan as to what I think your financial life would be like. I don't impose that on people. I just have to explain and get the client to buy in. So both things, parts of my life. When I went into finance, I thought I was done with the PR, advertising, networking part of my life, but now it comes together very nicely.
Wow. When you have dealt with people within the space of finance over the years, what are the observations that you've made about human nature, and especially how we plan for the future? What are those things that you've observed that you think that we must pay particular attention to?
Well, the first thing I will tell you is that finance is logical, but what is logical is different for other people, right?
Okay.
And so what makes you feel good does not necessarily make financial sense. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say, so in the United States, maybe you buy a house, you have a mortgage, the interest rate that you pay on the mortgage is deductible on your taxes. Some people will come to me and say, I want to pay off my house. I got $50,000. I want to pay off all of my mortgage. That will make you feel good, but paying off the mortgage also means that you are missing out on the tax deductions that you could be getting from the interest, right?
Right.
Or sometimes I have certain clients that have a lot of money and they could not spend all of the money in this lifetime. But their biggest fear may be the fact that they could go broke one day.
Oh.
So it doesn't necessarily follow. So it is different from everybody.
So it's an individual
And then you
thing.
have people who don't have money, who like to spend everything they have. So it's just different. It's just different.
For those who are not really financially literate, I mean, how do you work with such clients?
So I think my job is to take you at where you are,
Okay.
and try to help you through education and information to get to the next level. I don't judge people based on where they are, because there is always a reason. You don't know what happened in somebody's life that makes them behave in a particular way. So I try not to be judgmental. I try to listen. I don't try to tell you to change immediately, but as you get more and more information, sometimes it's just a question of just having a good comfort level with staff. And so as they learn and they understand and they feel like they have more information and knowledge about the process, sometimes you will see that people get incrementally a little more confident when it comes to planning their financial life. But one thing that I try not to do is to judge people.
Right. Let's come to your work with the U.S.-Ghana Chamber of Commerce. Tell us about the experience and what the job demands of you.
So Merrill Lynch is an investment firm.
Right.
And because I work in an investment environment, a lot of people used to approach me asking for investment advice. But I used to hear all of the stories from people that had tried to invest in Ghana, the success stories, but a lot of not too good stories too about their investment experiences in Ghana. And so it's just like I did with the Install program. When people come, my mind just goes to looking for solutions, right? And so I kept thinking, if we could create a platform where people could have access to the right information from official sources, from wherever, experiences from where they could use in making these decisions about investing, wouldn't that be great? So that is how the U.S.-Ghana Chamber of Commerce started. So it was me, Dr. Kweku Ohene Frimpong, who is running the Sickle Cell Foundation in Ghana now. So he lived in Philadelphia. We had other American businesses who were also in the States that had tried to do business here. So we came together and formed the chamber, I think in 2013. The platform, the major platform being selling Ghana to investors and giving them the path to correct, actionable information and minimizing some of the not too good stories that was coming out of that. So
but how can Ghanaians benefit from this?
Well, so the chamber. So I'll separate Ghanaians into two. Right? Those who live in the United States and those who live here. So for those who live in the United States, that is a place for us to congregate. There is so much resources available to people that want to do business that on your own you may not be aware of. So when we have meetings on the chamber in the United States, we bring some of these resource people to talk about the loans, the grants, the technical support that is available for people that want to do business. Now, for Ghanaians here, when we have investors who want to come and invest here, I think you can either come and try to do something on your own, or you can get a Ghanaian partner here to help you, because if a foreigner comes here, they can't stay here for us. You know, things sometimes don't move very quickly. So it always is advisable to have a Ghanaian partner. And then if you're able to do this well, hopefully it creates jobs and brings enough economic activity and resources into the country.
But for you personally, being there, what has the experience been like for you personally?
In terms of what? In
terms of the kinds of goals you've been trying to achieve with the chamber.
Yeah, so, yeah, it is interesting. Sometimes it is great. It is generally easier to get stuff done abroad because of the size and the resources that are available. But there is also maybe a little bit of a difference, right?
Okay.
In terms of the way we get things done here. Now, being Ghanaian, I understand both sides. So I don't get too frustrated because I worked in Ghana before I left. And so it's been rewarding. We have been able to accomplish a lot in the short years that we've been available. I stepped down from the presidency this year, so now I'm on the board, right? So I get to sit back and watch other people do what they do. But I would say that it's been rewarding, it's been great. Again, I will not change that experience for anything. I think we have come a long way, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Let's talk about, you talked about the experience and work culture in Ghana and in the US. Let's talk about work culture. For business people, you are a business person, very successful at that. We're trying to learn from you. What are those things that you find missing within the Ghanaian space that need work on?
How much trouble are you trying to get me into?
Not too much. Not too much. Not too much.
No, I think, so I worked in Ghana before I left.
Right.
I think it is important. I hear people talk about the politicians and what they do and what they do not do.
Right.
But I think that it is important that we realize as Ghanaians that what we do has a cumulative effect on the progress of the country. And so if your job is to be like the PRO of one organization,
right,
you should do it as best as you can. I know there are challenges with salary scales and resources and stuff like that. But you have to also remember that that job that you have that you are not doing well, somebody will kill to have that job. Somebody is also fighting for that job. So when you have that responsibility, I think that you have to realize the privilege that comes with it, even though it doesn't do everything that you want. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Let's talk women. A lot of Ghanaian women are involved in businesses, startups. And even in recent statistics and research coming up shows that Ghanaian women are very, very entrepreneurial. Do you think we are being paid half as much as we are working for?
So I will separate that from those in the formal and the informal sector. I remember when I worked in the public sector in Ghana, there was not that much discrimination because you get paid based on a skill, right?
Right.
In the United States, it is different. Even in the United States, for all of the progress that women have made, women get paid on average 80 cents of each dollar. So a man will get paid $1, a woman gets paid 80 cents for the same thing. So it's not just in Ghana, it is all over the world. And so these are some of the things that women are fighting for, a more equal playing field. So in the formal sector, but in the United States, they have this thing where you have to go and negotiate for your salary. And generally, I think maybe men are a little more aggressive than women are. And so they say women don't negotiate for higher salaries, or they don't ask for salary increases. But if you do not know what the basis or what the other person is getting, what is the basis of your salary? So sometimes you're a little nervous, you want a job, but you don't want to price yourself out of the job too. So that is what happens. In Ghana, in the informal sector, I did not need statistics to tell me Ghanaian women are entrepreneurial and they work very hard. Look at the life of a Ghanaian woman, right? Like even you take the women who are in the villages. Sometimes you see the man with a hoe on his back, those in the farm, and the woman carrying the load with the children on her back. That is strength. Yeah. That is strength. And so I hope one of the things that we try to do when we do these conferences is to sort of like bridge the gap between the formal and the informal sector, because women in the informal sector work very, very hard. And to some extent, their income is generated, is determined by how hard they work. So I don't know if I can talk about discrimination there, you know. But I think that for the most part, I would encourage women to be a little more, step out of your comfort zone a little, and be a little more, be less afraid, right? In terms of when it comes to negotiating for some of these things. I don't know if the environment has changed in Ghana, but there was a time when it was a little more difficult for women to get access to capital, and that you had to go. We
still have challenges with that.
Really?
Access to capital, yes, especially for small businesses, mostly run by women.
So is the government doing something about that, where they have maybe some loans that are made?
There are institutions that try and do that, microfinance institutions.
But those have very high interest rates.
Credits.
So you need some grants, somebody to, well, if the government is listening. If the government is listening, that I think that, yeah, I mean, you want to put your money where your mouth is and where you can get the most return. And if more women are opening businesses, it makes sense that they would look at that sector and try to, because it makes business sense.
The next thing I want to pick from you is some tips for women in business. Do's, don'ts, just a few things. But we'll do that after the break.
Okay.
This is Women's Voice. Today on the program, we're sharing with you the story of Florence-Torson Hart. Of course, she is a senior business advisor. She's a senior finance advisor with Merrill Lynch Wealth Management, and she's also assistant vice president as well for the same organization in the US. But here in Ghana today, sharing his story with us. We'll be right back. Stay with us. However, you can send in your comments and questions to the number 0245 780 116. That's the number. You can send us a text or a WhatsApp. We are back shortly. Stay with us.
It's not just about the game, it's about the spectacular goals, the battle points, the proficient stars, the cheerful spectators, the sweet victories, and the enviable trophy. It's Egypt 2019, the 32nd edition of the African Cup of Nations. 24 contenders, including one defender, but only one will remain victorious. In a fierce competition among African football giants, who will stand tall, a new face or an old one? From 21st of June to the 19th of July 2019, GTV Sports Plus, GTV, Oponu TV will bring you all the games live. AFCON is here. Where you go?
Welcome back. This is Women's Voice. In the studio, I have Florence-Torson Hart, of course. She is a senior financial advisor with Merrill Lynch Wealth Management in the U.S., spending time with us here and talking about her experiences. I want us to go on to business tips for women in business. What are the things we should look out for in running a business, and then what not?
Yeah, so I said everything that you do when you start a business is a risky thing. There's some level of risk attached to it. It may work out, it may not work out, right? So that is the first thing that you need to understand. The second thing that I would advise women to do is to put your ideas on paper.
Are you very good at doing that?
Yeah, I am. That's why I got my master's for, right? No, but because there is some value to writing things down, but also in an environment where access to capital is very limited or challenging. Your business plan, remember when you are getting ready to start a business, everything is in your head. When you are going to look for capital, you're going to tell somebody to buy into your idea and give you money to execute that. And so the business plan becomes very important, because that is the one single document that you have to sell what you are hoping to accomplish. I think that it is a good idea generally to invest some money into making sure that you get a good business plan written. So for example, when you write, I want to sell kenkey and fish, you have to be able to say how you're going to get the ingredients, how much you're going to pay, how many balls of kenkey you want to sell in a day. So those are what we call the financials. How are you going to get people to buy the kenkey? Well, I'm going to position it here because a lot of people pass here, and they generally are these kind of people who will be more inclined to patronize my kenkey stall, whatever, you know. So the financial plan becomes very important. You also have to do an honest reflection and say, well, this is what my idea is. These are some of the things that could derail my plan, right? Right. So maybe Auntie Akwele, Auntie Ata, whatever, they also sell kenkey around the same area, and there may be a little bit of competition for you, but this is why my kenkey would be the better one, because I have access to cheaper raw material, you know, ingredients, so I can sell mine a little lower. I can, you know, these are things that you have to think through. So it's not just an idea to start a business and then you start. You take that and you take it to a bank person, whoever it is that would give you a loan. And that becomes sort of like a guide for you as you're going forward. The other thing that I also want women to understand is when you put your own resources into a business, a lot of women, people do that. Exactly. They start a business and they take their savings to do that. Though it's not free money for the business. It should not be. Because the cost of that money, the opportunity cost of that money has to also be factored in. That money that you used to start the business, you could have used to, you could have bought maybe a treasury bond or something that could have earned you some interest. So you have to think about it in that perspective. You also have to think about protection. So like stuff like insurance, if you are married, there are certain things that, and I'm not going to, there are certain things that you have to think about to protect. In the event that, God forbid, you get divorced, you don't want a situation where everything gets taken away from you. You also want to make sure that you have the right insurance in place so that if anything happens to you and you are not available to run your business, the business can either go on or they will have the resources to do that. So those are some of the things that I would say. And also, even if you are not drawing a salary from the business, you have to factor in your pay into the business plan. Because a lot of people will pay everybody else and not pay themselves. That is not why you got into business. You did not get into business to sell kenkey. You got into business because you want to sell kenkey and make money. So you always have to remember that.
Share with us some of your core life principles.
So I am very much my father's daughter, in the sense that my father, everybody that knows me knows that my father was a very big part of my shaping my values and my perspective. And so my father is very progressive, and yet, like every other man, also flawed too. You know, one of the things that he stressed when I was younger was the fact that I should get a good education. Get a good education, Florence, so that nobody can tell you what to do. Basically, is what he used to say. But one of the biggest lessons that just a little background on my father. My father is Nigerian, born in Ghana, grew up in KJB in the Volta region. Made money very early, so by the time he was 27, he had made a lot of money. But as any 27-year-old with a lot of money, you make mistakes. and he lost all of that money after a while. And then, so in the time that he lost all of that money, the same people that used to hang around him and thought he was the greatest thing, they all shunned him. And they treated him like, and so my father was able to make all of that money back, but one of the things that he taught us was to not judge people based on where they are now, and not treat people differently based on their station in life now. And so I grew up in a house where we had a lot of like drivers, mates and stuff. When I go out, I don't tell anybody this is our mate. I say this is my sister, because I remember once I was rude to one of the drivers. My father punished me severely, but that was born out of his experience. He said, you do not treat people because he's driving in my house, you think you can. So those are some of the values that has shaped me. And so I work with a lot of people that have money, but I respect the process and the fact that they have made the money, but I also treat everybody with the same level of respect. Some of the people that lived in my father's house, who used to drive, they even have more money than I do. And so I know for sure that value is a good value and it works. And so being independent, treating people with respect, and also having the drive and the persistence and perseverance to stick. If I do something, I want to do it to the best of my ability. If I cannot do that, then I will not even start.
Okay, there's some questions coming in. However, the phone lines are also open now. 0260969160 is up on your screen as well if you want to call in and ask my guests any questions. This message, says, good evening, madam. I trust you're doing well. My name is Philip and I'm enjoying the program. I'd like to find out from your guests, what does she make of people abandoning their jobs here in Ghana and going to work for money, coming back to make it?
I'm not sure I understand.
Abandoning their jobs here in Ghana, going outside to work for money.
So like outside of Ghana?
Yeah, to work
and
for
then
money.
coming back
to use that money.
To use that money. I think, well, if we have a lot of unemployment, people have to go somewhere, right? So, but I think that, so I, for example, I belong to a lot of platforms. Even though we go outside, I think my personal philosophy is it doesn't matter how high I go. If I cannot give back to Ghana, you know, Donald Trump just used a colorful word to describe African countries. It affected doctors, it affected cleaners, it affected everybody, right? So we have a responsibility to help give back to Ghana to the extent that I can. So in addition to the chamber, I'm also part of this platform, Business Links Africa, we have set up this Education for Africa thing where we are doing a GoFundMe a GoFundMe account.
Okay.
What we are trying to do is to, STEM education is very important. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of practical resources for people who do STEM to do the lab work and stuff. There's this gentleman in Ghana, his name is Charles Ofori, that has designed a lab in a box, in a little box. So we have this thing going on Business Links Africa, and I also belong to another platform called Ghana Advocacy Group, where we are asking people to donate. I think it costs about $15 or $20 to get one of those things to supply all of the high schools in Accra, so that people can actually get excited about science and take it more make it less of a theoretical thing, but also enjoy the practical aspect of it. And so those are some of the things that we do. But for the people that go outside, I think that I've spoken to a few who maybe, but for the most part, everybody is looking for a way to give back to Ghana. And so I think it is a good thing. So long as I tell everybody in the States that we have seas in Ghana. I did not come to see the Atlantic Ocean. I want to learn what is available and help, in any way that I can. So I think that is a good thing. You have to come back and give back.
You helped create a platform talking about giving back, Global Women X.
Yes.
The conference that brings women together. What's the idea behind this?
So business is getting increasingly global.
Right.
And so you have a situation where you can decide to do business in Ghana, but you will have partners outside of the country that if you want to grow, there's going to get to a point where doing business here will not just be enough. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was to look at women's empowerment, but make it less of an aspirational thing, but create an actionable platform by giving people information and skills to move to the next level. So that is what the Global Women's Conference is about. We are about empowering women, but I want to empower you with skills. So we talk about things like...
Right, so we'll come back to the conference, but there's a caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and go ahead with your submission. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller on the line. You might want to call back just to make sure that you get your input in the conversation before we wrap it up. So we're talking about the conference and how dynamic you want it to be instead of just being inspirational. What else?
So we want people to have, we at the conference we do things like how to protect your money. That is information that you can walk out of the conference and implement, or how to brand your business. Now advertising is changing. We have traditional advertising, and then we also have social media, which is also cheaper, right, for people to, so how to brand yourself. How we also want to talk about...
Okay.
Hello.
Right, so the caller is back on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and go ahead, please.
My name is Fudu Sali. I'm speaking from Savannah region, Damango.
Right, go ahead.
Yes, I just came and met the program, but that is an area that I am very, very interested. Women empowerment, it is an area that people have to look at. When you check, women are considered as vulnerable in even in the world, anywhere in the world. So I am helping women in some way, but if I could have gotten a chance so that we get people to come on board, so that we try to empower them through using something like a soap making, nut initiative, so that they can extract oil and then take up of their own destiny. I think what the league is doing, I think probably I would like to partner with people like that.
Okay, so you're looking for partnerships where even though you are helping women,
Definitely, I have my own way of doing it. We are doing it in a local form.
Okay.
But currently, what we want to let people to understand is that they should start their own initiative.
Right.
So the support is that we are lack of logistics. So that we go around to train them something like business development, so that they will know how to build up their own business, so that they can alleviate themselves from poverty.
Okay.
I think when we get people like what the woman is saying, but after this program, I wish if I could have gotten chance to meet any of them or having a contact of them, so or an email, so that we'll see how we'll come together, so that I will achieve a common goal.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
So basically looking at ways of helping women within rural Ghana to become more independent.
Very necessary. Yeah. Very, very necessary. One of the things that we did at the last conference, and which we hope to do, would be to provide some scholarship for most of the girls who are not in Accra. At the last conference, one of the girls from the Volta region that attended, she got up and said that was the best day of her life. It made me happy and sad at the same time. But these are the people that we want to reach. Girls who would not necessarily have access to the speakers that we bring. So one of the things that I hope we can do is to provide scholarship for these young girls to come and broaden their horizon and their experience, but also to have access to the one-on-one coaching and mentoring that these global women provide, both here and outside of the country. Just having somebody take an interest in you and say, I see you, I believe in you, and I want to help you get to the next level. It's very powerful.
Back to you. Flashback to about 20 years back from now. Is there anything you would have done differently? What would that be?
Well, I spent a lot of time. So I felt like because of my upbringing, I was very independent-minded and very focused from when I was a little girl. And as a result of that, you sort of don't fit into the box that people think a traditional person should. And so I spent quite a little bit of time wondering why somebody would see me and be judgmental. For example, they would see me and think that maybe I'm not very bright. It's not possible for her to be bright. Or why did she say this? Why did she not say this? When my intention was not even negative. But I spent a lot of time trying to fit in, knowing that I did not. If I had a chance to go back 20 years, I would tell my 20-year-old self, it is okay. It is okay to be different, and it is okay not to fit in. The important thing is that what you don't think evil of people, you are not doing anything illegal, and you're not being rude to anybody, right? If people feel uncomfortable with you when you have not initiated anything that will make them feel like that, it is more about them. It's not you. So I wish I had understood that when I was younger, you know? And so if I could talk to the young girl home who has all of these ideas and doesn't think that they necessarily fit in with what is expected of her, it is okay. Everything will work out in the end.
Like it has worked out in the end. And even more to come. What does the future hold for you?
Well, at this point, I'm paying a lot of fees because my son is in college. My daughter is getting well. So getting ready to go to college. I just want to be the best version of me that I can. I can't be anything else but be me. At this point, I know what my strengths are and I know what my flaws are. Those I can change, I will. Those I can't, I'm okay. I think I have enough positives to overcome whatever flaws I have. But I just want to be continually learning, continuing being a good person. I hope that I'm still able to see the humanity, because as you grow older, you get all kinds of experiences, and sometimes it can make you a little jaded, you know. But I just want to stay in that space where I still see the humanity in people and the good in people, irrespective of whatever is happening around.
We do know that anytime you are back in town, we'll try and grab you again for another interview. But thank you so much for spending. Let me read this final message. It says that Selikem, God bless your guest. I'm really inspired by his story and the amount of knowledge he's been able to share with us. That's coming from Sarah in Kotobabi.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
And thank you too for being on the show. My guest has been Florence-Torson Hart. She's been sharing with us how she has come from goals to reality, basically what she does with her life and with her career. She's currently senior financial advisor with Merrill, Lynch Wealth Management in the US, here in Ghana, sharing her experiences with us. Thank you so much for watching. We are back same time tomorrow. And from our guest, she says, just be the best version of you. My name is Selikem Akola Chapalu. See you tomorrow.